What rules were put in place because of you?
As a kindergartner, I once fell asleep in the bus. When I woke up, the bus was in the garage and I had to yell to get someone to get me out. So to this day, every bus driver in my school district needs to walk to the back of the bus and check every seat before they park the bus. Seems like a good rule to have.
My older brother got a curfew enforced at Boy Scout camp when one of the leaders noticed him walking around the area in the daytime with his eyes closed, counting steps. He may have just been practicing being blind, but the adults assumed he was figuring out how to get around at night without lights so he could get into some kind of mischief. Which, knowing my brother, was also possible. P.S. If you're one of those people saying but, you're not thinking like an 11-year-old.
Minor one, but when I was in elementary school, we had one of those bridge building challenges using toothpicks and hot glue. My partner and I realized if we just coated the entire thing with a thick-ass layer of hot glue, it would make our bridge strong as hell. So we used like a full pack of hot glue sticks, like 20 of them. It was more glue than toothpicks. So after that they limited the number of glue sticks you could use.
You can no longer skip to the end of training videos at Wendy's. I completed about 10 hours of this training when it was implemented, after I'd already been working there a year, in about 45 minutes. Open, skip, 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 do test, rinse and repeat. I was quite proud of my estimated time 45 minutes, time to completion 2 minutes. My store, which is a franchise location, got a call from corporate like an hour later. I didn't have to redo any of it though.
In history class in high school, there was about 10 of us really close friends. We would take every opportunity to make your mom jokes. A couple months into class, the teacher made us sign a treaty promising to stop making fun of each other's moms. We signed it and started making fun of each other's dads.
I got the Ryan Steakhouse buffets in Louisville, Kentucky to put baby changing stations in the men's bathrooms back in the 90s.
I got our HR box taken away at work because the HR lady threatened not to pay us if we missed a clock in or clock out. In our defense, the phones didn't always work and the clock-in system was really unreliable, and I printed out the law stating that was illegal, highlighted it, and put it in her box when no one was around. She threw an unholy fit and tried to figure out who put it in her box, and from then on everything had to be handed impersonally, lol.
At a ballpark I worked concessions at, they had an all-you-can-eat promo day where tickets were more expensive than usual, but concessions around the stadium were free, excluding alcohol. So I worked that day and of course it was chaos, but when the lines started dying down later in the game they started sending some of the hourly employees home, myself included. But of course, I didn't go home. After I clocked out, I stayed in the stadium and got some cheeseburgers and Philly steak and soda and found an empty seat in the crowd for the last few innings. Next year, same promo, but new rule for staff: if you get sent home early, you have to actually leave the stadium.
I don't think it was a rule, but it was kind of an unspoken thing. I was the only brown kid in my school and would act out for attention/acceptance, and my classmates would get a huge laugh out of it, but I would be sent to the principal's office every day. I think my principal knew I wasn't a bad kid, just looking for attention. He moved a permanent desk into his office for me, and every day when I got sent down, I would sit there. Had my name on it and everything. By the end of that school year, I would pack snacks for both of us, lol. Haven't thought about that principal in a while, but I hope he is well and was patient with other kids as he was with me. Update: I tracked down what school he's currently working at, called to find out when he'd get a free moment, and they said he makes time to speak to parents and students after school at 3:15. Going to wait in the office until he's free. Wish me luck, hopefully he remembers me.
In middle school I would use Sharpies to tattoo myself. Other kids thought it was cool, so I started charging $1 per drawing wherever they wanted. Principal found out, and after I wouldn't stop, she put a ban on Sharpies for the entire school. Even the teachers couldn't bring them in. I'm a tattoo artist now.
Male students are not allowed to wear hair accessories. We had the rule about hair not touching collars, couldn't be past eyebrows, or over the ears. I grew my hair out and just put it up in headbands. After receiving multiple detentions and fighting them and winning, the next year, they made the rule.
My elementary school was located in the center of the neighborhood, and my 5th grade class was the first to get outdoor trailers for classrooms. We'd ask for bathroom passes and then walk home. Next year, they built a fence around the school.
My junior high made a rule against yo-yos in class after I tried to do a trick and my yo-yo flew across the room and broke a glass beaker set. I'm sorry, guys.
I put a croissant in one of those hotel toasters. It soon became engulfed in flames and needed extinguishing. Next day at breakfast they made a sign that said, "If you'd like your croissant toasted, please ask a member of staff."
Local amusement park added a no blindfolds on roller coasters rule because of me. When I was in middle school, my friend and I thought it would enhance the overall experience if we blindfolded ourselves on the biggest roller coaster at a local amusement park. We got one of those pictures they take on the ride, and there we are, blindfolded in the middle of a tunnel, having the time of our lives. Looking back, we easily could have strangled ourselves or worse, because we literally just used scarves tied around our heads. Next year we went back to the same roller coaster and they had added a no blindfolds or loose accessories to the list of rules before the ride.
My younger brother was always late to school, small school, and was tardy. He figured out if he just skipped first period and went to second he was counted as being on school and no late penalty because he was at second period on time. They changed this the following year.
I used to ride on the bottom area of the shopping carts at our nearest grocery store. I thought it was fun to put my hands on the front of it, sliding them along the ground while the cart was moving. Yes, I was gross. One sticky spot on the ground later and my hand was pulled back and thumb went right under the wheel. Crunched my little thumbnail and my mom had to remove it. Anyway, the store put up signs after that saying it's against the rules for kids to ride in the bottom of carts.
No more than 4 margaritas per person on dollar margarita and beer night. In college, some friends and I used to go to a Mexican restaurant every Thursday and often on Saturdays for $1 margaritas. As a group, we would go through a lot, then they put the rule in, then they changed it to $2 margaritas and $1 draft beers.
Back in the day, a radio station had a weekly trivia contest. The prize was a free pizza and movie rental. Somehow my mom figured out which book they were using for the trivia questions. She bought it and memorized all the answers. Each week we would call in immediately. Sometimes we were the first, but even if we weren't it didn't matter because other people were usually just guessing. We won almost every time. Even though we changed up who would actually make the call, they eventually figured out we were all from the same household. So they made it a rule you couldn't win if your family had already won in the last month or whatever. Up till then, we enjoyed a lot of free pizzas.
Uber expense with drinks for clients at my work. Years ago we took a bunch of clients out and everyone had way too much to drink, so I ordered everyone Ubers home. Turned in the expense report to our account manager, just under $400 in Ubers, and she had no clue what an Uber was. I explained to my bosses that we expense drinks for clients, why not expense Ubers? Now if we pay for drinks for clients we also pay for Ubers.
Local job center no longer has working USB ports on public PCs because I found private files on multiple PCs with far too much private information about strangers.
The dual major on my degree is no longer offered after I proved it would have been logistically impossible to graduate with it without my specific transfer credits.
Oh, I was a teacher who coached debate and took the team of high school students on weekend tournament trips. I had new rules every year, and my co-coach and I privately called them the name of the student. E.g., the Jess rule was that if you assaulted anyone, you were sent home. The Annie rule was no debating in fake accents. There was the Dylan rule, which was no communal porn watching in the hotel rooms. Jess rule number 2 was do everything you can to vomit into the garbage can or toilet and not on the floor. Jess rule number 3 was no yelling at nurses in the ER that you are a virgin when they ask you to take a pregnancy test. Jess rule number 4 was we can cut you off after 12 minutes of no stop talking. Jess was a character, obviously.
No typewriters in class. I was kind of a shit kid, and while my school allowed us to use laptops, I would play video games. Primarily Warcraft 3. In class. No sound or anything, so I wasn't being a complete nuisance, but I wasn't doing my work. A teacher told me I couldn't use my laptop. I happened to have a 1950s Remington QuietWriter portable, all-mechanical typewriter. It was anything but quiet, with all of the taka. Ding! You'd expect from a typewriter. After one full day of studiously taking notes and doing my assignments via typewriter, my teacher said I could use my laptop as long as I didn't bring the typewriter to class.
Don't trick your siblings or friends into eating soap. I would cut bars of Dove soap into pieces, wrap them in old candy wrappers, and pretend like they were mints. I was 8 or 9.
Military school I went to. After me, an adult is required to check the parade cannon to ensure it is clear, and closely monitor the students as they load it. There is to never be another flaming rubber chicken flying over the parade grounds ever again. Circa 1989.
Not me, but a coworker. The whole company now requires that if you have a lanyard for your name tag, it must break away on the back, because she got it caught on a top shelf and it choked her.
Freshman year of high school, I had to give an oral presentation on a random Greek god. This was at a Christian school, for context. I got Dionysus, so naturally I spent many hours researching on YouTube how to act drunk, wasn't much of a partier, so I didn't know, and pretended to be absolutely wasted for my presentation. It was a great success, but my teacher unsurprisingly banned Dionysus for the following years. It didn't help that Dionysus was basically the god of orgies and bestiality too, if I remember correctly.
No, citing the Geneva Conventions, or accusing management of war crimes.
A certain institution no longer has an annual contest on St. Patrick's Day to see who can drink the most shots of kamikazes.